how long have you been working at this studio? I mean, you say you built this part quite recently.
Yeah, this part was built about 6 weeks ago, but I've been working from home in the main office side, which we had a small studio in for about the last year and a half, 2 years.
Do you want to take your mask off?
Yeah, thanks, because it's just I struggle to breathe with it on.
Yeah.
I can't get the air, because I can't get air in to my lungs, which kind of doesn't really help.
Julian, looking around me, I'd say that music is a big part of your life.
Yeah, my godfather is Cedric Sampson, the famous drummer.
I remember.
Yep, so that's my god. So I've kind of grown up. My mother was a model. She used to dress Cindy Alter back in the day when they were clout. So I kind of grew up in the music industry. A bit of a singer-songwriter myself, never really made it, but I have absolute passion for South African music. And my dream is to help South African artists and give them a platform and an international platform to be exposed. So that's kind of what I do. And this studio was literally built to create our own version of Tiny Desk in South Africa that artists can come and play. We record it, we live stream it, and we just give them, I wanted to make it feel like it's a music studio, but it's just a video. So yeah, it's kind of, that's my passion.
Okay. And what health problems did you have prior to COVID?
So about 8 years ago now, I started developing a form of asthma that we didn't really know what it was. I started having pretty hectic panic attacks. I couldn't breathe, and I was struggling for energy. I went to a pulmonologist at Sunninghill Hospital about 8 years ago, and they thought maybe I might have cancer. So they decided to do a biopsy, a lung biopsy and stuff. So they like break your ribs and they put those pipes in.
Not very pleasant.
No, not at all. But they found a lot of fluid in my lungs. So they drained it. And they thought maybe that would be the worst of it. But they reckoned I had some kind of, I was allergic to something that was causing the asthma, but nobody could figure it out. So for the next 6 years or so, I was on different nebulizers and different pumps and everything like that just to keep going. I'd have good months, I'd have bad months, but it steadily just was there. So I was classified as asthmatic. I'd have a schedule for drug, which was the medical aid then approved so that I could get it. So I literally lived on that for the next 6 years. Then obviously last year came about and COVID struck, and I was one of the very, very early.
At the start of the pandemic, were you really cautious about not getting COVID?
Absolutely. To the point that and the funny story is that I remember is that my wife would say, okay, go and get some groceries. And when I came back, we would wipe everything down, take my clothes off. They would literally go into the washing, everything. I would shower the minute I got back. So we were overly cautious, absolutely overly cautious. And I remember for the first month or so, we did not go out. We just stayed isolated in the house. My son was in quarantine anyway, coming back from Italy. So we just kept it as clean as possible.
Do you know where you got it?
Unfortunately, being in the industry I am around people. I was always precautious. I wore gloves, especially in the beginning. I wore a lot of gloves all the time. I was wearing my mask, I was sanitizing. I was on various shoots. It could have been anybody. I don't want to say that. I don't want to go and I say to somebody, oh, it was your fault. But yeah, I mean, it could have been anywhere. It literally could have even been going to the spa, who knows?
What are the first symptoms?
I remember all of a sudden, it was a Friday afternoon, and I was all of a sudden feeling very tired. I literally just wanted to sleep. And I was supposed to go out for a dinner with my wife, and she said, look, rather you stay home. So I said, yeah, I'm not feeling hundreds, so I'm going to stay. So she decided then to also cancel and stay. I passed out on the couch. I woke up about 3 hours later, and I was sweating. I was literally just sweating, and I couldn't breathe. I was like, so I struggle as it is to breathe normally, and I literally could not breathe, and I was like, something's wrong. So I went to bed. I woke up. I couldn't really get much sleep that night, but all I remember is the bed was soaking wet from sweat. I woke up the next morning, and all I wanted to do was just sit in a hot bath. But I was so cold, even in a hot bath, I knew there was something wrong. I just said, something's wrong. I've got to go to the hospital. So we went down to the Life Care down that road here, and I got tested. They just said to me, look, your temperature was sitting, I think it was at 39.5 roughly. They said, go home, but ideally, you need to go to hospital. So I said, look, can I just go home until I know the tests, results, and let's see. So they said, cool. So they sent me home. I waited. The fever was just going ballistic, and I had this shakes and everything like that. And I was like, I don't know what to do. So we just waited. The test results came through the next morning saying I was positive. So we phoned the doctor. The doctor said, look, you need to get into hospital. What's your temperature? And it was sitting at 40. And I was like, I don't want to go to hospital.
Why were you so neurotic about not going to
Because
hospital?
you had heard the stories already of people dying that were going into hospital and not coming out. There was already those stories starting to break. And I was terrified I would not come out of hospital, especially considering I had lung issues, especially considering I had asthma. I was terrified that I'd go into hospital, I was not going to come out and I would never see my son again. And there's just no way. I'm not doing that. So I stayed in bed. They gave me meds and everything like that. And I just tried to, I thought, okay, maybe I can just sweat it out for 24, 48 hours and see what happens. But I just got worse and worse and worse.
Were the doctors coming to see you?
So we had a nurse come and then to check up on me and stuff like that. And then they're like, you really should go to hospital. You really should. And I was like, I don't want to go to hospital. I will not come out. I was that terrified of it. I was like, if I'm going to die, I'd rather die in my own bed with my family around me than die in a hospital bed. And you had already seen, and my son had been living in Italy, and you had already seen what had happened there. And he had been firsthand in that crisis, and people were dying in the hospital. So
but it crossed your mind more than once that you might not make it.
Absolutely. I honestly, in the first 4 days, I honestly didn't think I was going to make it. I really thought that if my time's coming now, that'll be it. A friend of mine that I've worked with in the event industry, Damon, said, listen, I can get you an oxygen machine. So like I said, the one thing I need is to get air in because I couldn't breathe. And the problem was that there was no air coming out, so I couldn't push anything out. So he managed to arrange one of those big old ones that literally, a proper one that literally sounds like the generator you're hearing next door during load shedding. It sounds like that. So I managed to get one in the house, and I was literally on that thing 6-7 hours a day just to breathe. It took, I don't know how long I was in bed for. It must have been 5 weeks, 3 to 5, somewhere around there. That literally the temperatures would come and go. I'd have all the meds they could give me.
But for 5 or 6 weeks, you lived on the edge.
Yeah, pretty much. I think it was in week 3 I knew I was going to turn, that it was going to get better. Roughly, the biggest thing, I don't remember much of that period because that's the one thing I kept on drifting in and out of consciousness during that time. I mean, people were phoning me. I remember my mate Sean phoning me and saying, Julian, I spoke to you like 4 or 5 times. I don't remember him calling me at all. Obviously, by this stage, I had lost smell. I had lost taste. The COVID brain that they talk about, oh yes, is an absolute reality. And so luckily enough, I had my family around me that if it wasn't for them, honestly, I don't think I would have made it.
How have you been since then?
That's been the hardest part, to be honest. You know, you come out of it and you think, great, I'll get back on my feet and it'll all be great. I have not been able to exercise since August last year. I cannot physically go for a walk around the block without collapsing. I was waking up every morning, having a coughing fit and vomiting up phlegm every single morning. I'd go to the doctors, they'd give me another pump, another prescription of something to try and help. Literally every night I go to bed, the change in temperatures affects that I can't get the air in. And again, I'd have another coughing fit. If I was doing anything strenuous in the studio, like trying to do a shoot, I'd have to go outside and literally be vomiting up phlegm. And this carried on and on. Then you guys ran a special about a Dr. Taban from Zambia. I think it was from Zambia, I can't remember.
I think it's further north.
Yeah, it might be. But I saw that and I was like, this guy knows how to treat COVID. And he's a pulmonologist who specializes in lungs. I need to see him. Problem was, so did the rest of South Africa want to see him. So it literally took me 6 months. I only got my appointment last month with him to actually be able to go and see him. So I've just been trying to manage, for want of a better word, through this post-COVID and just survive because I still don't have proper smell back. My taste is not 100%. I can't exercise. I can't breathe properly. My medical aid have classified me as a, what do they call it? That you're, there's the word for it, if you have underlying conditions. They use
comorbidities.
Yeah. So I've got all of that, but yet I have to wait to see somebody, obviously, that can hopefully help me. So I eventually got to see him. They ran tests. They discovered that it's what COVID has caused is I think it's a reactive lung disorder, which means I cannot get air into my lungs. So my lungs are only operating at 40% capacity. The doctor says I should have died when I got COVID. He said the fact that I survived was probably more to my determination to live than anything else. And he says, he said, probably not going to hospital saved you, because they probably would have just shoved you on a ventilator, and they wouldn't have been treating what your problem was, which was the fact that I can't get air in. You know, that he says, you probably did the right thing by staying home, and it probably saved your life.
Long COVID is hard to diagnose, but do
Yes.
they see this as the basis of your problem?
I think it extenuated the lung problems I had before. So I think because before even I was managing, I had my asthma pump, but I could survive. You know, it was like any asthmatic person would be. I could still exercise, but since COVID, it has just basically blown everything out of proportion, to put it in any other way. I don't know how, to the point that now I can't do what I used to. My life has fundamentally changed compared to what it was a year ago.
Is the possibility of contracting COVID again a dark
Absolutely.
cloud hanging over you?
Absolutely. I'm terrified that if I get it again, I'll die. I am. If I don't get a vaccine and I get COVID, I will die. Because I believe my body, especially now, I think I mentioned to you, I'm now having to take 360 cortisone tablets over a 6-week period before I go back to the doctor, so they can try and open up my lungs to try and get air into it, and then do a biopsy again and see if they can basically reverse the cycle of what COVID's done to me. So that's what he wants to try and do. So I know that one of his things, he puts those things down, he blows out the pipes. So apparently I might get that done as well. So I'm waiting. 2nd of July is when I go back into hospital to try and find. But all I want to do is just get a vaccine, because imagine now I get COVID and die, and I could have been saved by the fact that if I just had a vaccine. And the problem is I'm under 60, so nobody really cares.
So, I mean, it's pretty obvious that you're not too happy with the ruling that over 60s only.
Absolutely. I think, look, I understand we have to treat the elder, but I mean, you know, people that have underlying conditions should be eligible for a vaccination as well, because we have as much chance of not surviving another COVID or surviving a COVID attack than a person over the age of 60. So why for them? I mean, you know, I have to get a vaccine. I don't have a choice. You know, there's all these people that are anti-vaxxers or whatever, they don't want to have it done. I want it. If I could have it right now, I would be there in 2 minutes. And I would pay.
The department tell us that comorbidities are just too difficult to monitor.
But look at me, I can't breathe. I've got 40% lung capacity. I mean, what more do you want? I'm with a pulmonologist. Surely that's evidence.
I hear you, and I've
Sorry, I'm
seen you
it's frustrating.
coughing. But their argument is that, you know, people would pitch up and say, I've got this problem, that problem, which could not be proved.
But if you have proof, if you are with the doctor, surely my doctor should then be able to say, this person should be vaccinated, please put them on the list. But the doctor doesn't even offer that because there's no option for us. So he can't even turn around and say, please vaccinate him.
So it wouldn't be according to the protocol, but have you tried to get a vaccination?
I've done all the legit, I've filled out everything, I've gone into my medical aid, I've done all I've completed. The moment that we were told to go and complete, I completed everything.
So you weren't one of the lucky ones that got a call for the vaccination who were under 60?
No. And I know people that have. And it really upset me. It really, really upset me because they've got nothing wrong with it. I have a serious issue that I need to be vaccinated, because if I get it again, and in the industry I am, I have the possibility of catching it again because I am around people, I need to work. Without work, I don't pay my house bond, you know? So it's not like I'm in a 9-to-5 job.
So that's where you would agree with the department. You don't like the cheaters.
Yeah, and I just think everything should be done fairly, and if people have issues and it can be proven, then why not vaccinate them? It's for the better of society that the people get vaccinated. And we're sitting waiting, and I don't even know when. I mean, when are we so-called under 60s even eligible for a vaccination? They can't even roll out what they're doing now.
Well, nobody can tell us.
No, so we're sitting here and waiting. And, you know, I don't want to be waiting to the point that I get it again and I do die. I don't want to die. I have a 20-year-old son. I want to watch him grow and have children and have a career.
Julian, I hear your
Yeah, sorry, it's
frustrations, and I can't imagine what it's like for you.
Derek, I have to live with it. I don't have a choice right now. My choices are: I need to survive. We need to put food on the table. I am lucky. I am privileged in the fact that I can keep working. I have been very lucky from that perspective. There's a lot of people out there that have no job. They have, it's crippled our industry and the entertainment industry more than any other industry I've ever seen in my life. So I am very lucky, but I also still want to survive. I want to live.
So your message to the department would be: look at the question of comorbidities very closely.
Absolutely. And if there is proof that there is something wrong, I've got from x-rays to medical reports to every single thing that they could possibly want to see under the sun. Why shouldn't I be vaccinated?
Julian, they just have to hear you cough, and I think they're vaccinated.
This is mild. You don't want to see me at 6 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock at night when the changes in temperature affect me and I can't get the air in.
And you're not sleeping.
And I'm not sleeping. You know what? But
Sure.
I am alive, and I'm very grateful to be alive. And thankful to my family and all my friends and everybody around me that have supported me through this and have helped me get through this. So I'm lucky. I've got a great crew that I work with and people that I work with every day that, they make sure they carry all the gear because I can't. I literally cannot lift a speaker, Derek, without having a coughing fit. That's how bad it is. I'm 52 years old. I'm fit, but I cannot lift a speaker without having a coughing fit.
But a vaccination would make you one of the happiest people in the world.
Absolutely, because it'd give me peace of mind. And look, I know I still got to go through. A vaccination is not going to fix me, but a vaccination is going to prevent me from hopefully catching this virus again and at least give me a chance of recovery. And that's all I want. I want to be able to, and hopefully with the help of a doctor, I actually get to the point of reversing what's happened to me thanks to COVID, or no thanks to COVID, and actually start to live back a life that I enjoyed, where I can go exercising, I can go walking, I can do things with my 20-year-old son and, live a good life.
Julian, thanks so much, John. You talked, unfortunately, we could make the whole program on you, I think. Sure.
Sorry.
No, cheapest.
Yeah, it's pumps after pump after pump, unfortunately.